What is your spin now on President Obama?
I think it's one thing to be a pro-choice. It's another thing to be pro-abortion. I really believe that all of politics is morality. Let me just take health care, because here I'm a liberal too. Boy, everybody's going to hate me by the end of this show. Peggy knows that I had a very hard time with him and with the whole Democratic Party, because if this person thinks I'm opinionated, how opinionated can you be? Howard Dean appointed me to the platform committee of the Democratic Party at the National Convention. I was there, I was on the platform committee. And he appointed me, which shows some wisdom on his part, because he wanted a pro-life person speaking on the platform and trying to address the issue of abortion within the party, because he felt that the party was far too extreme. And I feel that Obama bucked me. And I think it's one thing to be a pro-choice. It's another thing to be pro-abortion. A good example would be Hillary Clinton is pro-choice, but she is against abortion. You say,
what's the difference?
Well, this is the difference. Good point. She says the way to handle abortion is not to make it illegal, because you'll only drive it underground. 73% of all abortions in this country are economically driven. You have a poor woman who works at Walmart with no health insurance. She's working at minimum wage. I don't know that this is true of Walmart, but let's just, you got a woman who's working at minimum wage, and she has no health insurance, and she's just about making it. She gets pregnant. You can talk all you want about this morality of a single woman getting pregnant. That's not the point. They're out there.
Yeah.
Almost half of the children in this country are born out of wedlock, which is frightening. But here's the story. She's thinking to herself, what am I going to do? If I leave my job to have the baby, I'll take 2 weeks off for that. I'll lose my job, and I can't get a job. Who's going to cover my hospital bill? There is no daycare available for me. I'm just about making enough money to feed myself and pay my rent with this minimum wage, because the actual earning power of American middle class has actually gone down over the last 10 years. We have less buying power per person in America than ever before if we're middle class. I'm poor, I'm getting poorer, I don't have enough money to feed myself, plus a child, I don't have health care, I don't have daycare, I'll lose my job. These factors begin to work on such a woman. And what Hillary would say is that that drives people to abortions. Let's address those issues. And she had a plan whereby she said, I believe that if I'm elected president, which she didn't do, I was a Hillary person, because she said, if I am elected president, I will make as my first commitment to reduce abortions in America by 90%. And it can be done. It can be done by spelling out the consequences of having premarital pregnancy, by changing the culture. There are a lot of people who are having abortions for economic reasons. Let's address them. So she wants...
So raise minimum wage.
Yeah, she wants to raise the minimum wage. She wants to guarantee pregnancy leave. When you have a baby, you get time off and don't lose your job. She wants to provide universal health care. You can see how addressing these issues would, in fact, decrease the number of abortions.
And if it is a Christian young lady, in spite of all those other things, you can trust Christ to help you make it, too. Yeah. Where does trusting Christ come into this picture?
And she also says we've got to make adoption easier. It's difficult to have adoptions in this country. Legally, it's hard. We've got to make adoptions easily. If we increase adoptions, which evangelicals have been yelling about for years, she agrees with us. She says we want to cut the number of abortions. She is against abortions, but she says if you just make a blanket statement that it's illegal and we're going to put you in jail if you have an abortion, you're only going to drive these people underground because that's the way it was before Roe versus Wade. So she thinks that Roe versus Wade was a bad idea. But it's here, and the way to handle the problem is to cut back on the number of abortions. We're never going to get completely away from abortions, but we can cut it back, she said, 90%, if in fact we encourage adoptions on the one hand, and if we make it economically viable for poor women who are pregnant out of wedlock to have children. Now, that's different than the Obama situation.
What is he saying?
Well, when we were working on the platform, there was an issue that was really, really big. And that was that we wanted to put statements in the platform that talked about abortion being a moral issue. You can see why I, as a Christian, would say this is a moral issue. Do you see? It's a moral issue. Well, between Planned Parenthood and radical feminist groups that also had great influence in the Democratic Party, they fought against that language. They did not want it to be talked about as a moral issue. Well, it is a moral issue. And I think that one of the roles of government, and this is where I came into conflict with the party, I really believe that all of politics is morality. That's what we have. We have a government that talks totally in pragmatic terms. Let me just take health care, because here I'm a liberal too. Boy, everybody's going to hate me by the end of this show. I am not particularly for the Obama platform on health care. I think that a curse on both of those parties. The Republicans aren't doing what's right because they are funded by insurance companies, and they're beholden to insurance companies. And the lobbyists in the insurance companies are controlling the Republicans. The Democrats are in bed with the trial lawyers. Trial lawyers have put huge amounts of money into the Democratic Party. And so the Democrats don't want to put anything in the bill that's presently before the Senate about tort reform, which basically means that doctors can't be sued indefinitely, that there be a $150,000 cap on suits, because a huge reason for the high cost of medical care in this country is, in fact, lawyers dragging people into the courtroom and suing doctors, and doctors have to take out insurance policies. The typical insurance policy for a doctor costs him $150,000 a year. Can you imagine that? $150,000 a year for his insurance policy. Can you understand why this doctor charges such high fees? He has to, in fact, in order to recover. I say that Democrats are wrong for capitulating to the lawyers who are lobbying them and giving them money, and the Republicans are wrong for protecting the insurance companies that are making life hell for the American people. So I have real problems on both sides. Having said this, I do contend the following, that we're the richest country in the world. We're the only industrialized nation that doesn't have universal health coverage. And people say, where are you going to get the money? I hear that all the time. Well, you could end a couple of wars that we shouldn't be in right now, is my reaction. I mean, we're spending, get this, just in Iraq, $250,000 a minute. I think it's more important to fund health care. That's my own feeling. But having said that, when I hear Christian people say, I don't know why they want to pass this bill, I'm satisfied with the health coverage I have, I feel like saying, read Rick Warren's book, the first line of which is this: it's not about you. And that's the story. It's not about you when it comes to health care. It's about 46 million Americans who don't have health care, 13 million children that don't have health care. It's not about you. It's about those who have no coverage. And I don't know how we got off on that, but that's my opinionated, of course, was that an opinionated statement?
Yeah.
An opinionated statement. But note it wasn't partisan. I am as mad at the Democrats as I am with the Republicans.